Hi, and welcome to a Life Soul podcast, where we explore personal growth, high performance, and intentional living. I am Wasim Balani, and I believe life isn't just about getting through the day, it's about becoming fully alive in everything we do. Through my journey, whether in medicine as a heart rhythm cardiologist, cycling and running, or personal development, I have learned that success isn't just about reaching goals, but about who we become along the way. This podcast is here to inspire and challenge you to push your limits, cultivate discipline, and live with purpose. Join me each week as we dive into ideas, reflections, and practical strategies to help you grow into your best self. So let's get started. Hey there, and welcome back to a Life Soul podcast. I'm so glad you're here today. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt joy? Not because something huge happened, but because you gave yourself permission to feel it, to pause, to smile. Maybe it was a small win, or a moment with your family, or maybe it was when you brought joy to someone else. That's what I want to talk about today. Not the type of joy that forced or only found in perfect moment, but the real kind, the kind that lives in ordinary days, in meaningful connection, and in celebrating the journey wherever you are in it. If you're like me, you might have a habit of just moving on to the next thing. You reach a goal, and instead of pausing to feel it, you jump to the next mountain to climb. I've done that with my workouts, blog posts, podcast episodes, and even in the family moments. I just brushed off the win. No pause, no reflection, no joy, just, alright, what's next? And I think it's because we've been trained to keep pushing. We believe if we stop to celebrate, we might lose the momentum, or maybe we don't feel like we've earned it yet. But here's the thing. Celebration doesn't slow you down, it fuels you. It gives you the energy and the clarity to keep going. We need to stop thinking that celebration is reserved for the big wins. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, every time you give your best, even if no one noticed, that's a win, and it's worth celebrating. Let's talk a little about the psychology behind joy, because it's not just a fluffy emotion, it actually rewires your brain. One of the best things I've learned from the Atomic Habits book is how much your brain craves positive reinforcements. James Clear talks about how the more rewarding a behavior feels, the more likely you are to repeat it. So when you celebrate even a small win, you're not just feeling good in the moment, you're training your brain to keep showing up. Think about it. When you finish a workout and say, yes, I did it, or publish something and let yourself feel proud, that moment of joy sends a signal to your brain, this effort matters, let's do it again. But if you skip the celebration, your brain doesn't associate the habit with the reward. And when something feels like an effort with no payoff, it's way easier to give up. Now here's another concept I love from the book The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan. He says that most people, especially the ambitious ones, live in the gap. What's that gap? It's when you measure yourself against an ideal you haven't reached yet. You say, I'm not there yet, or I haven't done enough. And that mindset steals your joy. It keeps moving the finish line further and further away. But successful people, they live in the gain. They measure backward. They ask how far I have come. Even if the ultimate goal is still ahead, they look back and say, wow, I've grown, I've changed, I'm making great progress. And that shift from the gap to the gain is what creates joy. It's not about pretending you're done. It's about honoring the journey, saying, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I used to be either, and that deserves celebration. So if you've been feeling a lack of joy, maybe it's not because you haven't accomplished enough. Maybe it's because you haven't paused to see how far you've already come. When I look at my own life, joy comes in some unexpected places, like the smile on my own patient's face when I've helped them to feel better or ease their fear. That human connection is not just part of my job, It fuels my soul and brings joy to myself. Or when I spend quality time with my family, like yesterday when I went on a bike ride in the forest with my son. We had lunch together, laughed, rode through the nature. Nothing big, but everything meaningful. My joy also shows up when I feel aligned with a deeper purpose, when I know I'm doing something that pleases God, that brings benefit to others. And it hits me deeply and brings so much joy to me when someone messages me to say, "Your podcast helped me," or "That post really spoke to me and inspired me." Because then I know it's not just about me, it's about serving and empowering others in an impactful and meaningful way. Now, here's the other side of joy that people don't talk about enough. Sometimes the best way to feel joy is to give it, and it doesn't take much. The other day, one of my partners needed help covering in the hospital in the Easter Sunday weekend. He wanted to get home earlier to celebrate Easter with his family. I offered to cover for a couple of hours. Not a big deal for me, but for him, that meant more time to spend with his family and the people he loves. And that brought joy to him and his family, and actually brought me so much joy. And in those 2 hours, I also saw a patient who needed reassurance. Just by showing up, listening, and offering a little comfort, I could see the peace in her eyes. That moment stayed with me. It reminded me that some of the deepest joy we experience comes through helping others. Whether it's volunteering your time, supporting a friend, or just being there when someone needs you. It's one of the most powerful ways to feel connected and fulfilled. Joy can also come from saying something kind, from making someone laugh, from holding back a judgmental thought and replacing it with a smile. It's so simple, but we overlook it because we think joy has to be earned. You don't have to earn joy. You can create it for yourself and for others. Joy isn't always about receiving. Often it shows up when we show up for someone else. So let's talk about how to actually celebrate your wins. Because honestly, I think a lot of us overcomplicate it. We think celebration means some big party, some social media worthy moments, or this huge reward, but really, it can be so simple. For me, it often starts with just saying it out loud, like, "Hey, I'm proud of that." Even if it's small, even if no one else sees it, you saw it, you showed up, and that matters. And sometimes I write it down, a quick reflection in my journal to just say, "Good job on the thing you did. That was meaningful." You can also pair it with a gratitude, like a quiet moment after prayer where you say, "Thank you, God." And thank God not just for the results, but for the strength to do it. And honestly, that makes the win feel so much deeper. Another thing we could try to do more often is to mark the moment. Even something small like stepping outside for a few minutes, going for a walk, grabbing a coffee, just something that tells your brain, "You did something good, let's breathe this in." And if you're someone who loves connection, share the win. Tell a close friend, your spouse, your kids. You don't need to broadcast it, but sharing it with someone who genuinely cares, that multiplies the joy. You can even create your own little ritual. Like after a good workout, I take a moment to sit in silence and celebrate my win before I move on to the next thing. The bottom line, don't let your wins pass you by. Whether it's small or big, find your way to celebrate it. Because when you honor your effort, you're telling yourself, "I see you, you're growing," and that's powerful. Let's recap how to actually celebrate your wins. Again, it's about marking the moment, whatever that looks like for you. Here's a few simple ways I've found it meaningful. Saying it out loud, "I'm proud of myself today." Write it down, a journal entry, a sticky note on your desk. Pair it with gratitude. After a moment of success, say "Thank you, God," not just for the outcome, but for the strengths and the opportunity. Mark the moment physically. Take a walk, make a cup of tea, step into the sunlight. Let your body register the win. Share it with someone close. You don't need to post it online. Just tell someone who will celebrate it with you, your spouse, your child, a friend. Create a celebration ritual. I've heard of some people who drop a stone in a win jar or write down every weekly highlight in a notebook. It builds a habit of recognizing growth. And lastly, reflect on the progress. Don't just celebrate the result, celebrate how far you've come. The effort, the growth, that's where the real magic is. The bottom line, celebration should be true to you. Don't skip it. That little pause might be what keeps your momentum alive. Now let's talk about something really close to my heart, feeling more joy, and even more importantly, spreading it. I've learned that joy isn't just something that magically appears. You can actually create it. You can choose to look for it, to lean into it, to build it, one small moment at a time. And for me, a lot of that starts with just being present, like really being in the moment. Sometimes it's just putting the phone down when I'm with my kids and just watching them laugh. Or during a meal, just slowing down and tasting the food instead of rushing. Those small, mindful moments, they hold so much joy, but we miss them because we're so distracted. Another thing that could help is keeping a mental joy list. Things I know lift me up, like cycling outdoors, good coffee, writing a meaningful conversation. You probably have your own list. And on the days when life feels heavy, pulling from that list can reset your whole mood. And here's a big one: do something kind without expecting anything back. Whether it's helping someone, sending a message, holding the door, like the story I shared earlier, covering just a 2-hour shift for my partner so he could be with his family. It wasn't a big thing for me, but I know for him, and probably for his kids too, it meant a lot. That made me feel joy in the most unexpected way. Also, make people laugh. Seriously. Send them a meme, tell a joke. There's something about sharing a laughter that lightens everything. Joy can be fun. It doesn't always have to be deep and reflective. Sometimes it's just silly and real. And of course, spend time with people who lift you up. People who remind you who you are, not just what you do. Because joy grows in the right company. And lastly, and maybe the most importantly, joy shows up when you're aligned with your purpose. When your day reflects your values. When you know you're living in a way that pleases God and brings good into the world. That's not just joy, that's a deep sense of aliveness. So yeah, joy doesn't have to be a rare moment. It just needs your attention. So to recap, here's a few things I've been learning and trying to practice more often to feel more joy and spread more joy. Be present, truly. Put your phone down, watch your kids' expressions, sip the coffee slowly. Joy lives in the moment you're actually in. Create a joy list, simple things that lift your soul, walking or running in nature, joking with your kids. Keep that list, use it often. Practice acts of random kindness, a compliment to somebody, a thank you, a warm smile, small moments with big impact. Another thing is to help quietly, serve when no one is watching. It builds a kind of joy that feels pure. Also, laugh more, tell that silly joke, watch that funny video with your kids. Let go of the pressure to always be serious. Another tip is to spend time with uplifting people because joy is contagious, so choose your circle wisely. And lastly, live in alignment because when your actions reflect your values, when your day reflects your purpose, that's where deep, long lasting joy lives. And here's another big idea. Sometimes we don't feel joy because we're stuck in comparison. We look around and see someone else achieving something we want, and it's hard not to feel behind. But something shifts when we choose celebration over comparison. When someone else succeeds, wins, or shines, try celebrating them genuinely. Be the kind of person who claps when others rise, who says, "I'm happy for you," and means it. There's a kind of freedom in that. And what's beautiful in that, when you start celebrating others, you create more space for joy in your own life too. Because their win doesn't take away from yours. There's enough good to go around. And when you celebrate someone else, you remind yourself that your time will come too. And if you're in a season where joy feels hard to find, just know this: every survival is a win. Getting out of bed, praying even when your mind is cloudy, sending that message you've been avoiding, showing up to work when you feel exhausted. So celebrate that. You're still here, you're still showing up, and that counts. As we close, I just want to remind you of something simple but powerful. You're allowed to feel joy, even in the middle of your growth, even if you're not there yet, even when life still feels messy. Joy isn't something we wait for, it's something we notice, something we make room for. So, if you've been moving from task to task, chasing the next thing, without stopping to acknowledge how far you've become, this is your moment to pause. Let yourself celebrate. Let yourself smile. Let yourself say, "That mattered. I'm proud of that." And if joy has felt distant lately, then maybe the way back to it is to give it away. Help someone, laugh with someone, say something kind. Because the joy you create in someone else's life always finds its way back. So I'll leave you with two gentle questions to carry into the rest of your day. What's one win, big or small, you haven't celebrated yet? And what's one way you could bring a little joy to someone else? Take a moment, let that answer settle in, and act on it today, even in the smallest way. Because life is too short to postpone joy, and you never know who might need it today, starting with you. Alright, my friends, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep growing, stay present, and don't forget to bring the joy, because every habit you build, every effort you make, it all adds up. The small steps you take today are shaping the person you become tomorrow. And if you liked this episode, please subscribe and share it with people around you, because we all grow better when we do it together. I'll see you in the next episode.